grasp on top of buying items like Trinity Force or Shojin, this is just going to make him even harder to kill. So that could be a point of concern for TY for tutorial. But maybe they can make it work. First strike on the Vygar, so Mari hoping to accelerate his build a little bit. Not concerned as much about the early laning phase. TY for tutorial invading into the red buff side of a jungle, but that is going to leave Best in the slot with an opportunity to do the same thing. They're going to ward the red buff. And they are going to get away with it. I'm not sure if TY for tutorial spotted them here. Doesn't look like it. Spies will still look for the early push. That makes a lot of sense. BIS just cleared out that ward at the Raptors. So that will create some ambiguity for T4T, but I feel like they should still have a pretty good idea of where Chop is starting regardless. Nice hook from Kama. That actually went past the minions and caught Spies here. We'll see if that gives them the push. This could be a point of contention here. Pretty important stuff. Right now, Yuna and Kama seems like they will have the push first. Have to see what happens next here. Feels like this will have to let this one go. Another hook was about to land, but Spies sidesteps that one. Yeah, level 2 is here, but Kama does not have the hook. Perhaps if he waited with that cooldown a little bit more, he could have instead looked for Rakan, but just getting that level 2 is the important part. I mean, in the last game, they could not quite get it, and that did allow Havoc to get the first blood, so... Already some positive signs for T4T going into this game. I feel like mid lane is just a point of a map that we don't even have to look at right now. Honestly, I really don't feel like the camera should even go there. Good trades from Yuna right here on the Kaisa. CJ falling dangerously low. Big stuff from the T4T duo, but they might just get ganked here. Although there's no reason for them to walk up right now. The wave is still in a very good position. They just have to receive it. That's it. They don't really have to do anything more. Chop was there, but there was no chance to do anything. So yeah, like I was saying, Smolder and Vygar will be just perfectly happy trading waves and scaling, as they usually do. Nice hug from Kama once again. Pops the Guardian. They continue to trade, and Yuna does take plenty of damage in response, both from the minion wave and from the Zeri. Renekton might just be getting ganked right here. Makuskio's coming in from a dangerous angle. Wibbly still has his flash. He's going to use it, most likely. Or he might just die. Yeah, he had to flash from that wallop. That could have been the end for Renekton if he doesn't use the defensive summoner spell. Here comes Chop with a flash of his own. That forces Yuna to flash, but what nice play from Kama. That will get the kill for Yuna. Yuna's still fighting with the barrier popped. Spies doesn't have mana to fight back, I think. Yuna wants to keep going. His lethal tempo is still running. Rin's falling low, though. He just took a tower shot, and Wibbly is going to take another kill in these first 5 minutes of the game. Nice reply from Best in the slot, but they might just die here in the 2v2. Barrier still... Spy still has his summoner. And he's going to get the kill over Kaisa, which is the most important part. He's going to also get a double. big sequence for best in slot. They get kills top and bot lane at the same time. Absolutely huge, and it looks like this wave is also pushing in their direction, so it's just all coming up roses right now for best in slot. The gank didn't work out for T4T. It was pretty close. Wibbly manages to get away with his life, and then he also gets a solo kill on top of that, so yeah, like, you can't really ask for anything more. Especially in a matchup like this where Gnar can have the advantage early game. Right now, Wibbly is showing the Gnar who's boss. And now we're about to see a dive potentially set up by Best in Slot, but that will come later as T4T are ganking the Smolder first. The sequence in mid works out for T4T. They just donate the guild to Vygar. The dive doesn't work out top lane, but they could still get the fresh. He has to flash. That leaves both ADCs just farming against each other 1v1. Best in Slot want to continue, but I don't think they have enough distance to cover to keep this going. Wibbly wants to continue. He actually gets a kill back, but he's not going to get away. It's a 1-for-1 as Renz makes his way towards mid. Imari flashes to try and get an extra kill, but that could cost him later. Assuming Best in Slot are keeping track, that could be a potential visit mid very soon from Chop once he gets level 6. But that does give it timing for T4T to get grubs right here. And it doesn't feel like Best in Slot are in a position to respond to that. Although Dragon is still an objective they could look towards. Just wondering how close Chop is to level 6. I feel like he needs just one more camp. It could be the Skull right here that gives him level 6, and then he can look towards bot. That's a potential angle where T4T should be pretty careful about their approach. They still want to push forward, keep trading. But now this is a potential timing where Best in Slot could get something done. Oh, Best in Slot. They bait T4T into this trade. The Lantern comes out, but it's not going to matter because Cease and Desist can just lock in Kaisa in place. She doesn't have flash still. Oh, they can't quite get this kill. And the hook also lands from Kama. But I guess the flight was not off cooldown just yet. All things considered, this could have been much worse for Best in Slot. Sorry, for T4T right here. I mean, if CJ had level 6, like, that would be at least one kill. They could still potentially look for Dragon in the near future. I mean, the way things are right now, both bot lanes are trading really hard against each other. It looks like T4T will be the first ones to base. I guess the question for this game will be who can play around their scaling threat better. Because both teams opted for this really high scaling potential mid laner. It's the physical damage threat on one side and then there's a mage on the other, but like the line of thinking is pretty much the same. Wibbly's still not scared at all to continue the trade. Bit of a misstep from Arins, but with Grasp he can fight back against the Renekton pretty well. Now what can Best in Slot do about this dragon? Will they even attempt a play in response? the mom comes out from Smolder, but that's all it's gonna be, I think. Best in the slot. I don't think they want this fight. Looks like that is exactly what the call was. We're gonna have a pause for a bit. Pretty nice game so far. Teams trading blows, especially bot lane. Even though you could say we could have just a game where both teams just sit back and wait, but it feels like they are not they're not content with just that. They just want to keep throwing hands no matter what. Yeah, and it looks like we're back. T4T has just taken the first dragon of the game. It's not a big deal though for best of slot given how, given the situation the bot lane is in. I feel like they're perfectly happy with where they are right now. Just a small freeze, but nothing to worry about. Wibbly pops his Dominus. Now he has to be careful because Mega Gnard's about to come up. He has to kite away from the situation. Just gonna crash the wave in base. Yeah, every single one of those hooks from Fresh can be very easily followed up by the Kaisa, so it is a pretty big threat from T4T that Zeri always has to worry about. So that does give T4T plenty of leverage still in this lane. Zeri uses her dash forwards, not to the side. Spies also had to use Flash on top of that, so a pretty big waste for Zeri, honestly. But best of the slot, they are doing the cross-map play, going for grubs. They will be able to level the score when it comes to those grubs as well. They could be looking for Vygar right now, although he still has his flash up. And Spies is playing with fire here. If that hook landed, I feel like he's just dead to rights. Although he still has barrier. But he can't be left here for long. I mean, T4T have just so much space here to just give Ice all the form she wants. And Zeri is missing quite a lot. Now a bit of a scuffle between the Amumu and the Vi, but the Vygar is here with the follow-up, and Chop just gets caught in a pretty simple way up in the enemy jungle. Not much else to say there. Spice is still in the lane. It's about 60% HP, but yeah, still hemorrhaging gold here, and potentially also XP. So now we're in a situation where T4T are slowly pulling ahead in gold, but it's not really a situation where the game is decided at any point. TJ looking for something. The hook is going to whiff, but Spies, I don't think he has enough mana to try and fight back here in the 2v2. Although right now they're just going to try and crash this wave, so at least we can get a good recall off. The Lantern comes out from Kama. They want to keep the fight going. But Knockum's going to land on the Kaisa, but she still has barrier and the shield from Killer Instinct. But here comes the jungler of Best in Slot. And it's both junglers coming in for the gank. But it's going to be Best in Slot that comes out on top in the exchange. They got 2 kills. One for Spies, one for Chop. and that is right before the dragon as well. Some pretty important cooldowns just used. I don't think Curse of the Sad Mummy will be there for the next dragon, so we'll see what Best in Slot does about that. Interesting purchase from Rins, going for Iceborne Gauntlet against Renekton, and that does let him kite Renekton that much better. If this Q lands, that could just be a solo kill. Dominus popped. Rins doesn't want to face check, rightfully so. Kama comes in with a roam. Now it's a 2v1. Really wants to keep going. Nicely spaced out on the Gnar ultimate. Can he still fight? The Conqueror's popping. Still, one more auto is all he needs. Both flashes used. Kama will get the kill in the end. Wibbly tried with everything he had, but he's not going to get the kill on the Gnar. Kama coming in clutch with the assist. Now let's see if Best in Slot can take the dragon with Fresh showing up top like this. Should be an easy take. Vigar's trying to move in, but he's completely alone. I guess he was just trying to see if a steal was possible, but Best in Slot, they did take that dragon pretty fast. Now instead it's, we're going to see T4T going for the Herald. They could easily make that lead grow even larger with Gnar still being in a pretty good position. Oh, what a nice gank right now from Best in Slot. They're going to give the kill to the Smolder, and there's a bounty on top of the base gold. Wibbly wanted to stop the Herald, but he might be in trouble right now. Iceborne Gauntlet is going to keep him in place. Pretty low on HP. Wallop lands. The additional slow from Iceborne Gauntlet. He just cannot move, even if he wished. Wibbly trying to heal up, trying to stay alive, but there's no escape from the slow field. And now T4T going to fight in the 2v2, but the shield from the Kaisa is not going to be enough. 2v2 kill for Best in Slot. They could even get more, as Spies is still chasing Kama, but he has to be worried about the hook right now, and it's going to come out. That's going to be a trade of kills, but I guess Best in Slot, they don't really have to worry about that all that much. Zeri taking the kill there, I think, is a trade that they will gladly take. Granny Spanner hitting that early important threshold on the Smolder, that does allow him to clear the waves that much faster. But he has to be wary of the potential gank coming in from Raptor Camp. We've seen Amari fall prey to this to this gank from this exact position many times in one game. Now, thankfully, he's not really on the receiving end of those ganks. So T4T will go into the mid game feeling pretty good, but they will still have to worry about the Smolder, and they have to worry about the Zeri as well, who came out of lane with 2 items already. Best in Slot now trying to pressure mid, but it's going to be difficult. It's going to be dangerous. Curse of the Sad Mummy is up from the Kuskyo. Best in Slot still want this fight. They're just focusing the Mummy down, but he's pretty tanky. Curse of the Sad Mummy lands onto everyone. And I don't think Best in Slot wanted this fight. They still want to keep going with Zeri Lightning Crash available. Smolder activating ultimate from downtown, but now Vigar on the side. He's going to catch the jungler of Best in Slot. And Best in Slot, once again, it feels like they overextended on this fight, but they might just get a kill back. They will even get 2. Now it's T4T overextending the fight and potentially losing plenty of members. Mari does get 2 kills in response, but now Wibbly wants to kill the Fresh. He will only get a flash. So much action happening in such a short time. There's no objective to play for either. This was just about the mid lane tier 1 turret, which does go to Best in Slot in the end, I guess. But It was pretty dangerous to take that fight if you're best in slot. Not really an objective you should, like, throw your entire team at and just focus the Amumu like that. I feel like best in slot, they played fast and loose in that instance, and they almost got punished hard for it. I mean, we're still in a position where I think T4T have slightly increased their gold lead coming off of that sequence, but best in slot obviously still in this. Oh, but now we could see a gank coming in onto Granny Spanner. He's flashless and completely helpless. The ultimate's going to come out, but it's going to result in absolutely nothing as T4T get the first kill. But now they're being collapsed on. Zeri with Lightning Crash jumping across the wall. They want to focus down Arens before he can get follow-up from his team. Kaisa jumping in, but he's immediately focused down by Chop. Kaisa trying to kite away. Vi almost dead. Really nice hook from Kama over the wall. Vigar now trying to kite away from the Renekton, but he's being focused down next. But Vigar gets a double kill just in the nick of time to keep himself alive. And the Kaisa Void Seeker from outside our field of vision also lands. And T4T played his team fight so well to get the win in the end. And that's right before the dragon as well. Clutch play from Himari on the Vigar, but also Kama landing plenty of important hooks, and it all started with an important pick onto Granny Spanner. Like, without that Smolder, that is so much damage on best in slot, just completely deactivated. Let me see what the problem is with... Maybe it is about, does look like Wibbly is having some technical issues on his side, which is quite unfortunate. I mean, Best in Slot did try really hard to turn their fortunes around in this fight, but T4T in this instance, they just played this one really well. And it looks like Infernal Dragons will be their reward here. And they will also get mid-tier 1, the cherry on top. It's a small freeze frame once again, but nothing special. And T4T wants to speed things up here. After this dragon, they avert their gaze towards the Baron. Instead, they already have Arens in position to be the split push master here, as T4T is looking towards Baron. Can Best in Slot still find a way to recover? I mean, it ain't over till it's over, and I think this applies especially well to this game. If you think about Smolder as a champion, I'm like just gonna keep banging the drum, I guess. But this champion, as Worlds has demonstrated, if you give it enough time, it will eventually win you the game. But I guess that's not my problem right now. It's T4T's problem. They want to accelerate the game. They want to get this Baron so they can just keep Best in Slot stuck in their own base and just continue to grow their lead. And stacking the dragons is also important versus a champion like Smolder. But I guess once the last dragon comes up, in theory, Smolder should already be in a position where he's allowed to just take over a fight. So it's going to be up to T4T to play those team fights well, to make sure that Smolder is not allowed time to just DPS one guy after another. Now, Wibbly could be caught right here. Dominus is popped. He stuns the Thresh just to get away, but here comes Yuna as well with the assist. Killer Instinct comes out. And instead of playing for the Baron, T4T will just focus on bot lane instead. Wow, and that hop from Gnar actually forces out the flash from Spies. I guess he was worried about Iceborne Gauntlet slowing him down for enough to allow the pick for T4T. But that is a pretty costly flash. If you're a marksman, that is your most prized possession, and just losing it like this is not something you like to see. Well, maybe now we'll see T4T playing towards Baron. Potentially some vision put down. You're going to clear out vision from Best in Slot first. And once all of that vision is gone, they're just going to start the objective. They're already putting damage down on it. Wibbly has teleport. Now Best in Slot in a position where they have to approach the objective without dying. Event Horizon only catches the recon. Maybe this is a window for Best in Slot to try and re-engage here. Mom will catch pretty much everyone on the side of T4T, but they have enough time to secure the objective. And now that all they have to do is run. But Cease and Desist comes out from Chop. They want to keep this going, but Vi is immediately blown up by the Primordial Burst, and Event Horizon also splits Best in Slot across the uprights, and it doesn't matter that Smolder has the execute anymore because T4T have a hyperscaler of their own, and he already has Rabadon's death cap. Imari is absolutely... he's absolutely crushing it this game, it has to be said. Even opts for Magi Soul Stealer on top of it? I mean... that's a bold move. But it is a pretty cost-effective item, as we all know, so... now T4T in a very, very good spot to win the game with a huge, huge gold lead. We're not even talking about Infernal Soul here, and it's already over 10,000 on the scoreboard. We're trying to look for picks. Obviously, we're not pulling everyone towards the Drake. We want to look for a pick here. Perhaps we could have found something, but I guess they're not gonna cry about it. They still get Infernal Dragon. Wibbly won't even get... he won't even get the top lane tier 1 turret in response because Gnar still has teleport. T4T just have all the answers available. And Best in Slot have let this one fall through the cracks. They may have a Smolder, but right now it feels like that is not enough to win the game. Oh, but Imari is being a little bit too far forward in the side lane. He will get caught in the end, and that is a pretty big misstep for T4T. The teleport comes out as well from the Smolder, but no more picks for Best in Slot. It will just be the mid laner falling on the enemy team. Irins manages to get the top lane inhib turret on the other side of the map. So T4T are not resting on their laurels, but this mid lane pick will slow him down. Now the question is, can they do a good enough job of just surviving until that next dragon shows up? Their carries are still in a pretty good position. Like, realistically, we are living in a world where Best in Slot could still win a team fight. It is difficult, but not impossible. I'm looking for a hook, but he's not going to find one. Though we're also seeing Yuna with a completed Zanya's Hourglass, so that will make it that much harder for Chop to just get a pick off on someone. Veigar and Kaisa both with Zanya's, and that just makes Chop's life miserable, essentially. As now CJ just got caught in Event Horizon, and that also forces out Shirelia's. Best in Slot absolutely stuck in their own base right now, eating poke. On top of that, and Granny Spatter just got caught by a death sentence that could potentially be a game winner, as Smolder is once again gone. Best in Slot trying to get something out of this in return. Chop and CJ with the initiation, but they just do not have the damage without the dragon. They will just fall one after another. Yuna jumps in, knowing he's still safe with the Zanya's Hourglass. He wants to keep his fight going, but Spies is kiting nicely. He gets to kill on Mercutio. Flashes away from a Renz. He can still do this. Does he have barrier? It doesn't matter. He gets a triple. He's still alive. Best in Slot will not lose the game just yet. Spies makes it happen. We are still in the game, although T4T are now in a situation where it will only take one more push for them to win. And the dragon is also coming up. Spies, he wants to chase. He knows the health bars on Venard and the Fresh are low. He might just get 2 kills here. Doesn't have Lightning Crash here to kite. Nice knockup from CJ to keep Venard at bay, but Venard from Renz will land regardless. That forces the summoner from Best in Slot, but they will get one pick. Can they get another? The smite will slow Arinz, but Best in Slot will decide against following up on the play. But man, Spies really the man of the hour right now. Best in Slot are still in the game, pretty much mostly thanks to his efforts in that team fight. And yeah, we'll have to see what happens at this next fight around Dragon. Best in Slot, they will have to contest. Because I don't see them winning a game with Veigar having Infernal Soul. Like, that would just be absolutely devastating. They have to try and contest here somehow. We have a pause once again, just to add to the tension. Fanatic pause from Best in Slot? Perhaps. Perhaps a bit of a tactical maneuver. But obviously we can't really know what's going on. But yeah, what a game this has been. The mid lane for T4T especially showing up so much stronger than in the previous game. The Veigar pick just working wonders for T4T right now, but they are still not quite there yet. Best in Slot, their base is in shambles, but they still have a chance. Can the front line buy enough time for Zeri and Smolder to pop off here? That is the ultimate question on everyone's minds. Zeri is already in a position where she can also 1v9 a fight, but you're not running Cleanse versus champions like Gnar, Amumu, Veigar. Like, it's just going to be very difficult to maneuver around all these champions, and Zeri doesn't have QSS. It doesn't look like CJ has Mikhail's either, so like that potential upside is just not there for best in slot. Not running any CC cleansers in this instance feels like it's handicapping yourself a little bit, but now Chop walking in a little bit too close to the sun. He's just going to get picked off before this dragon even comes up. And best in slot might have just thrown this game away. Yuna comes in for the 1v1 against Spies and he just bursts him down. Not like this. Best in slot, they could have just fought for this dragon 5v5 without resorting to these kinds of plays, but yeah, now there's 2 people already gone for best in slot, and I don't think they can survive this last push from T4T, as Kaisa is now putting all kinds of damage, and Granny Spanner will get caught by another death sentence from Kama. Plenty of those have landed this game. T4T, they make good on their promise. They will secure the win against best in slot. Especially